you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, it's Voss here from theChrisVossShow.com. Well, welcome to 16 years, 3,000 episodes of the Chris Voss Show. We're even bringing to you, as the oldest living podcast, still living, the daily broadcast. There's nobody else doing that. There's like a handful of us still left of the old grandfather podcast, and we're still here kicking. So all the more reason to further show your family, friends, and relatives, because we're going to haunt you as long as we can, and as long as I'm alive. Or they could prop me up in the chair, one of the two. Maybe they'll just put some AI in my mouth and prop me up in the chair when I keel over, get run over by a bus. In the meantime, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. We have an amazing young man on the show with us today. He's an author of many books that are very insightful on how to improve the quality of your life, your wealth, your money, and all that good stuff. Because, well, money doesn't solve all your problems. Sometimes it can make more problems. If you read his books, you'll be smarter on what to do with your money. See how I set that up? I just made that up.
That's well done. Yeah, that's well done.
That's why they pay me $5 a day here. He's the author of the book called Smart, Not Spoiled: The 7 Money Skills Kids Must Master Before Leaving the Nest. Chad Willardson joins us in the show. We're going to get into it with him, find all the deets, some of the other things, because it's so amazing. They don't teach kids about money, credit, all that stuff before they leave the house. And before they know it, then they're in trouble with mobsters and in Vegas. Yeah, I'm just doing a joke. Anyway, Chad Willardson is the president of Pacific Capital, a fiduciary wealth advisory firm he founded in 2011, and the founder of Elevated, a coaching program for fast-growing entrepreneurs. He's the author of 6 best-selling books, the co-host of the Smart Money Parenting Show, ranked number 2 on Apple Podcasts worldwide for parenting, kids, and family, and the co-creator of Gravy Stack, a banking app that helps kids learn to manage money. I'm hungry now. Before founding Pacific Capital, he spent 9 years at Merrill Lynch, where he ranked up in the top 2% of over 16,000 financial advisors nationally. He serves as the elected city treasurer in his community, managing a $650 million investment portfolio. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Inc., CNBC, NASDAQ, and Entrepreneur. He lives in Southern California with his wife, Amber, and their 5 children. Welcome to the show, Chad. How are you, sir?
Great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it, too. Give us your .com, sir. Where can people find you?
Just ChadWillardson.com. Best place to find out what's up.
So give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside this book.
Yeah, this book, Smart Not Spoiled, it came about because I was getting so many questions from people about how I approach teaching money to kids, to my kids. And it's something that's just not taught in the school system very well, if at all. And so this book is really a practical guide for parents and families to teach their children how to be smart with money and not spoiled.
Don't keep them from being spoiled, but also teach them to be responsible and how to handle money and all that good stuff. A lot of, when I was a kid, my parents, like 10, 11, 12 or something, they took us down and they got us passbook savings accounts. I think a checking account too. Back then they paid you a flat 6%. It was pretty rich. We didn't know how good we had it. And I mean, you could put $10 in there and get 6% on it. So what are some of the things and techniques that you espouse in the book that you can tease out? We need people to buy the book to find out, but what are some techniques or some of your favorite tips on how to help kids?
Yeah. I think it's important, first and foremost, if you could take away one thing from this conversation, it's that you need to start having money conversations in your family. And that's the part that most people miss. They don't even have the conversations. Parents are afraid to talk about it. They don't know what to teach. And that's understandable because none of us were really taught. We learned just through experience. So in this book, I teach a lot of the basics about money, about borrowing, about credit, about investing. I put a chapter called Know Your Cash Flow, Learn to Earn. So teaching kids and young people how to actually earn money, how it works. I think that's incredibly important. And a little bit about investing early and often, because the power of investing really is in the time that you give it. And so it's important for young people to learn that they can actually make a huge impact with investing a small amount at a young age.
Yeah. And we see that now in today's world. Now, it's cited in the book, 2/3 of American parents today think their children are spoiled.
Yeah.
From toys to laptops to smartphones and cars. There's a bit of entitlement going on. Is that true then?
That's the feeling. And I think it's not their fault necessarily. We order stuff on Amazon and a box shows up the next day or quicker. Yeah. and young people have no idea how that happened. They just saw us push a button on the phone, or you go up to the checkout and you give somebody a card and you get to eat whatever you want or put whatever you want in the grocery basket. And so if we don't explain that, I don't know how we expect them to understand the process of earning and spending money.
If you need money, you just ask mom or dad, right? Isn't that
That's
the way?
right.
Isn't that how you get money in the world?
The bank of mom and dad. Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a friend who I never got married and have kids. I can't afford the divorces. I'm still saving up a few $1 million right now for my first divorce, and then I'll get married. But I like having 100% of all my shit.
Yeah,
so I never had kids. And I remember I was living next door to a friend in Vegas at the time, and he was my age in his 50s, and I think a little bit older. And I was saying, it's really great. You got the kids out of the house there and you're doing all the thing. He goes, hell no, Bank of Dad never closes 24/7. He goes, the only time they call me at 50 is to borrow money. I'm like, I would change my number and fake my death and just move on.
And it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. If you raise financially responsible kids, they'll be a lot more independent when they're older.
Now, what about, so do you think getting accounts like, I think there's child credit card accounts they can get now, but learning to manage credit maybe is one thing I wish they teach in school. They don't teach. Yeah,
it's crazy. They don't teach anything about personal finance. And then everyone turns 18 and what do they get? They get solicitations for credit cards immediately because they're eligible to borrow $10,000, $20,000 with a 30% interest rate on a credit card.
Yeah. And then they're in hawk up to their teeth. We see that I used to see that a lot here in Utah. And they would be these kids, they get married at a very young age here. They used to. And so they're getting married at 18. And then they're using all those credits to buy a house, cars. Within a year, they're having kids and they're strapped. And so it's pretty wild. Now, what do you think? What are some of your thoughts on allowances? Do we need to give kids allowances, or we should make them go to work and mow lawns?
Yeah, I've never given our kids an allowance. My oldest is 20, almost 22. Youngest is 10, and they work. They work to earn, and that's something that we've always believed in. So you don't get money just for existing. You got to do something to get it.
Now, what about chores? If you do chores, do you get the thing? Or?
So there's some chores that we consider to be just part of being in the family, and those are expectations. If you want above and beyond chores to earn some money, then you can look at some harder projects that we have available.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Being able to, because we used to get an allowance, I think it was $0.25 a week or something. I grew up in the 60s people, 70s people.
That's not much, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Back then, for $0.25, you could buy a Snickers bar, 10 cents.
That's fair.
You can buy a Snickers bar. Now they're $3.50. And I was looking at candy aisle the other day, and everything was like $3.50. I'm like, this is like a monopoly here. This is clearly price fixing. Anyway, I like that idea though, because there are some things that, and it's probably a good lesson that you're doing this to support your family. And this is your family. And someday you're going to have your own family and you're going to have to do a lot of these duties. And no one's going to give you an allowance for that. In fact, if anything, you probably get an earful if you don't do whatever you did right.
True.
So I like this. There are certain things that mowing the lawns, probably, I don't know, we used to have to take turns. My brother and I one of us would empty the dishwasher and the other would fill the dishwasher, and we'd take turns. But, a lot of that's just part of being in a family.
That's right. Yeah, the trash cans, the yard, the dishes, setting the table, clearing the table, making your bed, cleaning your bathroom, all that stuff. That's just part of the deal. You live here for free, so you got to do some work.
Yeah. Yeah. You get live here for free. What about those kids who say to you, I didn't choose to be brought in this life. In fact, I believe there's a famous lawsuit of it right now where some young lady is suing her parents because she did not choose to be brought into this world. Therefore, she believes this is a real thing.
It's crazy.
She believes that they owe her a penance for existing and not having the choice to be alive for the rest of her life, or at least until 30. Like something.
I can't even relate to that craziness. I don't know what to say.
Yep. And that's why you don't let him have the cage, folks. No, don't do that. We can't do it anymore. That's not right. I don't know why it is legal for me to put my dogs in a cage either, but that's another matter. But what are some of the other things that you espouse that people should do?
I really talk about teaching them to get out there and earn money, doing something outside the home.
Yeah.
One of our kids had a dog walking business.
Oh,
another
really?
kid, another child who was very good at basketball, did basketball clinics and was able to make over $100 an hour, having lots of kids come get trained at the park. Creative, teach your kids to earn money and doing something that they enjoy, and learn that work doesn't have to be drudgery. It can be doing something you like and that you're good at.
Yeah. And there's pride. That's something you learn when you do work. Now, you do your own work, not the kind that's funded by mom and dad, and it kind of has like an edge to it. You're kind of like a nepotism hire at that point. Are you kids or nepotism hires? I don't know. But I always wanted a whole gaggle of children, but mainly for slavery, because I was going to send one to Cordon Bleu chef to be a chef so that whatever kid could cook for me, and then another one to a cleaning school to learn how to clean stuff. So that would be the cleaning kid. And then I have the foot rub kid, the back rub kid, and just a kid who's on call as a butler all the time. He wears a little butler outfit.
That's hilarious.
That's what I was planning. But if someone tells me that probably won't work out. So I don't know. But you're a wealth advisor. How important is it to teach your kids about investing early? A lot of people don't get this.
It's incredibly important. If you can invest $500 a year at age 18, that's equivalent of investing tens of thousands of dollars a year at age 40. So it really does make a difference if you can teach young people to begin investing and participating in the economy at a young age, for sure.
Yeah. And entrepreneurism too. I love that you're teaching your kids entrepreneurism and how to learn to make money out of their ideas, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great when they can actually be a part of creating an opportunity and then learning how to work and earn money, and they gain a lot of confidence when they do that on their own rather than me just telling them what to do.
Yeah. And when I was young, I didn't know what I was doing back then. Even when I started my first company, no one called it really being an entrepreneur. I think it was called being an entrepreneur, but no one was doing it. It wasn't like, you're an entrepreneur now. Now everybody's an entrepreneur that has a website, I guess. And they're all CEOs. But back then, when I started, I just wanted to build a BMX bike so I could race BMX bikes. And I loved going on tracks and jumping and stuff like that. And so I wanted to build myself a nice, expensive bike. My family was poor. And so I started mowing lawns. And I had a little business. I had my clients I mow the lawns for every week and make $5, I think it was back then. I think it was $5 for the front and $5 for the back. I think that was the deal. So if they wanted both, I was banking it, right? And back then, the stickers were 25 cents. So I could buy 50 of them. But no, the entrepreneur skill and development, I am so grateful for. Now, I wasn't always happy at the time back then because I didn't understand the big picture, but it would have helped if I would have had some parents selling me the big picture what I was doing. Hey, you're learning pride. Hey, you're learning to be an entrepreneur. No one, entrepreneurism wasn't promoted in my family. Go to college, get a job, and I don't know, work for the man for 40 years and hope he gives you a gold watch. And I was living through the age where that was dying in the 80s. And the pride that comes from earning. And then I think when I was 11, I got a newspaper route for this newspaper. It was like a coupon newspaper that you do twice a week. And that was a lot of work, but it taught me pride. It taught me to have pride in my route and the work that I was doing, and the people that were happy, they come out and be like, hey, thank you very much. And then some of the people that would throw the paper at me because I put on their door. But it taught me a lot of grit. And sometimes you don't feel like going to work. You got to go to work.
It's true. And hard work is something that I think will make young people stand out because not everyone's learning it.
Oh yeah. It's we see that a lot with the complaints about Gen Z, and it seems like every time there's an article, they're beating up the poor folks about how Gen Z this, Gen Z that. But we had a lot of this helicopter parenting thing going on. One of my favorite TikToks is this teacher who's I guess he's a coach and he's also teaches something in school other than coaching. He's dual role, and so he reads these letters that these parents send him, and they're insane. And so you heard Johnny's feelings, I think. So we need to have a counselor come in, and you demanded that he operate a meritocracy where he has the good grades and pay attention, and he doesn't want to do that. And you're being unfair to him. There's always that fair word that comes up in those conversations. And so that's in the world of helicopter parenting, I think kids that are taught to be entrepreneurs and stand out are going to be great. And it's going to make you're going to have all the difference in the world because it's going to be huge in the future, especially with AI. And you can create stuff. My nephew recently came to me and told me he was doing some stuff on eBay, and he's always been in these magic cards, the magic game, I guess it's called, and he knows how to resell them and which ones are the hot ones and how to make money. So he recently got laid off, and he started this little thing, and he was afraid to tell me about it. He's, I don't got the side hustle. You're going to make fun of me probably because I don't have a job. And I'm like, no, this is really great. You're learning how to use your entrepreneurial mind to create wealth out of thin air and of ideas. And we need to teach this to more kids. Parents, I think, really cripple their kids when they don't give them that option.
That's right. Parents often step in and do the hard work for the kid, or they protect them from struggle and failure, which really is meant to help them grow and develop.
Now, you have 5 kids. What does money education look like in the Willardson household on a regular day?
We talk about it openly. I talk about investments that I'm looking at. I talk about business projects I'm doing. I will include them. I've taken some of my kids to entrepreneur conferences with me, just kind of be my buddy there. Yeah. So it's been a great opportunity for them to learn and get up close to it.
And see, that's the thing. When I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs in the show, I'll ask them, I'll be like, were your parents entrepreneurs? What was the influence that led you down this? And usually entrepreneurs have entrepreneurial children, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes if they struggled as an entrepreneur, maybe the kids got turned off a little bit. I need a paying job because whatever. But they just weren't good entrepreneurs, and some people fail. But having 5 kids, imagine they negotiate every which way they can to get whatever they want for free, right? If they're not working you, they're working mom, right? And stuff. How do you deal with keeping a balance on that, and what's necessary? Does what's that thing that Gen Zers now, the little boo-boo? They all got to have the little boo-boo now. It's some sort of little doll or some crap. Whatever. It's like I guess it's an emotional support doll or something. How do you deal with those sort of instances?
I think we take a pretty practical approach. Our kids are active. They do a lot of things, whether it's school or community stuff or sports. Our kids are so busy, they're not really caught up in they don't have video games at home.
Oh, really?
No, they don't. Yeah, we don't really watch TV in the house. They play a lot of sports. That's what they do. Like that occupies a lot of their calendar. So we keep them active. We keep them active, and we keep them focused on goal setting and work. And they have good social lives with their friends, but they're not sitting around scrolling social media. Our kids don't get a cell phone until they're 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those cell phones are really melting a lot of these guys' brains.
It's true.
They don't go out in the real world. They don't learn what the real world is. The Instagram is such a fake world. The world is just so fake. I run a huge dating group, and the filters that people are using are just sheer catfishing at this point. It's pretty much criminal. And so you look in this dystopian or seemingly utopian, but really dystopian sort of online world. You're like, everyone's a millionaire. Everyone's hustling. Everyone's doing well. Everyone's going on vacation every month. And you see all this weird stuff. And then you don't really hear until you spend a lot of time looking and seeing it. The fallout. Oh, this person's fake. Oh, this person faked all their wealth. Oh, this person stole a bunch of money from someone. And it finally caught up to them. And turns out they were using the person's money. And so it creates a lot of imaginary world. And you or I grew up in the world of analog. So we can differentiate these things. But these poor kids that are raised in this, they just think this is normal.
Yeah. And some of these kids have a cell phone at age 5 or 6, and they're just used to iPads and cell phones, and they don't know what's real and what's not. And they can't have a conversation with another human being looking face to face. And so for us, cell phones at 16 is not easy, but we've found it to be very, very effective in teaching our kids to not rely on it as a young person.
Yeah. And being able to interact and communicate. You see just these phone zombies walking around going, and they're on, I swear to God, we need to open mass dopamine rehab clinics for these people that they're just attached to their phone 24/7. And I might be included in that figure too, folks. I remember one time I was sitting in the bathroom. I was looking for my phone to go into the bathroom. And I remember thinking, why do I need my phone to go in the bathroom?
Right.
What is wrong with me? I pooped for 30 years before they invented cell phones, or 25 years or something, or at least before they became common. And I'm not that old, folks. I think cell phones were invented in the 50s or 60s, but maybe I am that old, 68. But yeah, I sit and look at it. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to go get some coffee or drink out of the fridge from my office desk. And I'll be like, wait, take my phone. What's going to happen in the 20 steps between here?
True. It's a habit. It's an addiction for all of us, for sure.
Definitely. Can you list the 7 money skills for us?
Yeah. So I'll jump to the intro of Smart Not Spoiled and just give you a quick teaser. So chapter 1 is invest early and often. Chapter 2 is borrow wisely. Chapter 3 is know your cash flow. Chapter 4 is talking taxes. Chapter 5 is learn to earn. 6 is protect who and what you care about. And 7 is give generously.
I love it. And you've got giving and charity in there too.
I do. Yeah.
That is so important, especially when you're young and being an entrepreneur, learning to give back, learning to be charitable. It makes such a difference. Now you have something you co-created called Gravy Stack. I'm hungry again. A banking app for kids. How does this tool bring the lessons in life, and is it open for all kids that can use it?
Yeah, so Gravy Stack has changed names into Dinner Table.
Okay.
So Dinner Table, and we love the name because the important money conversations that aren't happening or are happening need to be happening at the dinner table. Dinnertable.com it's a platform where parents can connect and get very simple money lessons to help teach their kids to be smart, not spoiled.
Be smart, not spoiled. You see these kids that are like, life isn't fair. I'm not getting one. Anytime I see that entitlement, if you're a kid who says life isn't fair, man, I just want to smack you up at the head till your head spins around about 10 times so hard. And then I'll be like, did you get the point yet? Anyway. You can't do that. CPS says they had to stop. But these are just jokes, folks. But no, it's a banking app's really important. Do you recommend they get checking and savings accounts at a young age?
Yeah, I do. I think kids should become familiar with doing money things in the real world. So having a checking account, having a debit card, and learning how that works is really important, even if they're 8, 10, 12 years old.
Yeah, even how to balance a checking account.
That's right.
Yeah. They don't teach that in school either, man, like how to balance your checking account.
Not at all.
I spent a lot of years when I was young going, I still have checks. Everything's fine. My account's negative. What? I learned that when I was young. But my parents, they took us and got us checking and stuff. I think it was 11 or 12 for us, and set that up and all that good stuff. So I think it's really important. So when a parent finishes this book, is this something the kids should read or the parents should read, or both? Kids
over 12, kids 12 to 25. Other than that, parents. I don't think a kid under 12 would really get too much out of it, but over 12 for sure.
given the book and read this, and this is what our plan's going to be, and I do it. And I imagine communicating and leading with a plan like this is really important, letting everybody know what the plan is, how it works, and there's little to no variation or whatever the rules are.
And I think it's good. It's okay to incentivize kids to read the book. Hey, here's a little financial reward if you read this book, and we talk about it together. Great way to start.
I think it really is. A lot of these hard conversations just don't happen. I went through the same thing, and you see the line in Fight Club. It's one of my favorite scenes to cite. And they're sitting I think Brad Pitt's sitting in the tub, and the other guy's sitting there, and he goes, "We're the parent. We're children raised by children. We've got." I asked my dad, "What do I do?" He says, "Go to school." All right, so I went to school. What do I do now? Go to college. What do I do now? I graduated. I get a job. What do I do now? I got the job. Get a wife and kids. And there's not really a deep sort of conversation. That was my parents' thing too, to me, was go get a job. Go to college, learn some stuff, and go get you a job. And that was it. That was their whole vision for me. And given back then, that was pretty normal. There wasn't a lot of entrepreneurs running around back then. There are now. And it wasn't like now it's a common, everyone's an entrepreneur at this point, really. And I checked with a gal in the corner, and she said she was an entrepreneur. Great. Anyway, everyone's an entrepreneur now. Now let's talk about some of the things you offer on your website personally for people. I know you've got a lot of other books. How many books total do you have?
7th book is coming out in September. So.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to tease out the title or anything?
Sure. Yeah. It's called Room to Grow. It's essentially how your proximity, the people in your orbit will influence your success, your health, everything around you. So be careful about the rooms you put yourself in and put your kids in.
Yeah. Or your spouse. That's one of the other things. I'm a big believer in that. You are the sum total of 5 or 6 people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
They will have the most influence. You will, whether you realize it or not, you will mirror those people.
That's right.
We do that as like in children when we're growing up. We mirror our parents' relationship behaviors, and we take those blueprints into life. And so the same thing happens with the people you surround yourself. I remember my business partner for many years, he would want to go down every weekend and spend time with his family that lived on a farm. And they were wonderful people, and they did wonderful things. But his brothers would just sit around and just do the usual bitching about the government and XYZ, and a lot of victimhood conversations about the government's doing this, the government's doing that. That's sort of rural sort of conversation. And it would be the same conversation every time I go down there. You could literally record it and play it back the next weekend, and it would be the same conversation. Exactly. They just bitch about the same damn things that everyone wondering. And I finally said to my friend, I go, number one, these guys are a bunch of negative Nancy's. Anything you want to do, they've got all the reasons
why it's not going to work.
You can't do it. Yeah. And I go, I can't be around these people because they're fucking up my thinking. We built 2 companies simultaneously that I was running at the time, and I was losing my freaking mind. And to be around those people was just such a downer. But thankfully, we were outside of those people where we were really becoming successful. And if you're not, a lot of those people hold you back. Oh, don't start that business, Chris. That's dangerous. Bob started a business in 1975 and went bankrupt. Don't be like Bob. And you're like, there's lots of Bobs, but there's also lots of successful Bobs. And so I like that. So you've got the books coming out. What else? I think there's a coaching or consulting that you offer.
Yeah, Elevated. Yeah, fullyinvested.com is the web for that. But Elevated is a group of ambitious entrepreneurs from all over that connect. They get one-on-one accountability coaching every week from our coaches. And that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs appreciate because they don't have a lot of people supporting them in their goals. It's a lonely venture, being an entrepreneur. And then we have peer group masterminds and retreats and things like that for our members. So great community. Yeah.
And then you have Pacific Capital. Can people invest over there? Do they need to be accredited investors? How does that work?
Yeah, Pacific Capital is more of a boutique family office wealth management company. So we've only got about 20 families that we work for.
Oh, really?
Super high net worth. So that's generally not something that's promoted out there just because it's such a niche audience. But I'd say for the most people, Elevated for entrepreneurs, and then the books for people who are trying to grow and have a better wealth lifestyle.
Money can't solve all your problems. Sometimes it makes your problems worse if you don't take care of yourself.
Very
But
true.
it definitely makes it so you can have some space to move and hire psychiatrists.
Yeah. Money can't buy happiness, but it allows you to be miserable in some very nice places.
Yeah. It let me buy a boat that I could put the psychiatrists on so that they could tell me how bad I'm being all the time. So we call it the psych yacht.
Oh, wow. That's
Just
great.
making shit up.
That's great.
The stuff I come up with. So, Chad, before we go out, anything else we want to promote on the show while you're here?
I think that's it. Fullyinvested.com and my book that's coming out in September, Room to Grow. Check it out.
Check it out, folks. And check out all of his books. You got quite a lot of books here on the Amazonian, as we like to call it. Amazonian. And they can check out all those books. Beyond the Money, 8 Lifestyle Shifts for Entrepreneurs, Stress-Free Money. That's always a good one, because a lot of people have the belief system, stress over stuff. Why Work-Life Balance is a Total Lie is another book, Fully Invested. So lots of great stuff people can take and do here and clean up their money issues, because we all grew up with money issues. Our parents would tell us we can't afford that because they just didn't want to buy the sugar cereal that was going to make us bounce off the walls and make them go mental further. And so there's a lot of money issues. And some people, when they see money, they change. Like when I lived in Vegas for 25 years now, whenever I meet somebody who's a gambling addict especially, man, when they see money or they see casino stuff, there's like a light that goes on that's that shittery light. And you're like, dude, you need to detach a lot of emotion from money and realize that it's a great tool, but if you're not using it logically, you'll be losing a lot of it emotionally.
100%.
So, yeah, 100%. And Chad, it's been wonderful to have you, and thank you for your insightful thing. I need to just buy a sample of your books, and every time I go out to restaurants with bratty screaming kids, I'll just throw a book in them.
Just pass it around. Yeah,
just pass it around. Assuming they can read, because usually the people that, never mind. I'm in Utah right now. So anyway, Chad, give us your final .coms as we go out.
Yeah, ChadWillardson.com and FullyInvested.com.
Folks, thank you very much, Chad, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you to my audience for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. Smart Not Spoiled, the 7 money skills kids must master before leaving the nest. If your kids are using words like it isn't fair, or they're acting with entitlement and the world owes them something, it's time to teach those kids something. So get them this book. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, Chad, awesome job.